What is buffer time? What is buffer time? Is what buffer time?
Hello again, Buffer Timers. Been about a month since we've seen you. We thought we'd come back and ease back into this a little easy. Before we get into a Q&A here, let's go around and introduce each other. I'm Dustin from Best of Trek, Worst of Trek.
We're introducing each other, so that's Dustin from Best of Trek, Worst of Trek.
That's Del.
Del over there. I'm Scott from YouTube channel Opinions No One Cares About.
All right, so while we wait for some people to file in, a couple of pieces of news have popped up over the past month. Notably and sadly, the worst one here, Gary Graham, actor that played Saval. Somebody in Voyager, and I think he had one more role that I'm not remembering right off the top of my head. But, I mean, most notable here for Saval. He no longer with us, died suddenly. Other than that, the other big piece of news is that Paramount, I mean, there's been rumors that they're going to get bought here for a while, but it looks like there's a fairly serious bid by Skydance Media. So who knows what that's going to look like. I'm honestly glad that it's just a media company and not like another streaming service. I really don't want to see any more merges. Because if everything ends up being owned by Disney, we're going to be right back to cable, and it's like going to be $200 a month.
Yeah.
I'm
worried more that it's going to disperse. That like you have to go to Netflix to see Prodigy, you need to go to Hulu to see whatever the current season, you need to go to Paramount or whoever owns Paramount for like the older stuff. Like that's I if you're going to do it that way, put them all in the same place.
All right, and appropriately, go ahead, Scott.
No, I was just saying. Plus, I recognize the name Skydance. I can't think of anything in particular I remember them being attached to. Like,
I'm not
as a
actually
barometer
sure
for whether or not it's going to be good or bad.
Yeah, appropriately, one of our most wonderful longtime watchers, Norman, with our first question. What episodes that are your favorites that usually do not rate high? Tapestry. I've got a lot more high ones that I rank low than the other way around.
I would put The Inner Light. I know, like, I would say most of the Trek people's opinions who I care about usually value it pretty low. But
wow.
I still really love it. I think I see the non-consensuality of the situation, but like letting Picard have a complete life where he has children and he can stay at home with his wife and that sort of thing, like that was very fulfilling to me.
That's fair. Obviously I've mentioned that I like the Thaw. I mean, we did a whole episode on it. One I'm really into, I don't think a lot of people seem to like, is from Enterprise called Twilight.
Where Archer just experiences like a fake future that doesn't end up happening by the end of it.
I know you get that a lot with like futures that just end up not happening. I just really love the idea though that, Archer's been going through this whole thing for years and doesn't remember it. Because they got that whole 50 first dates thing going on before or after. When was this episode? Might have been after.
It was during the Xindi arc.
During the Xindi arc. So, I don't know. But, it's not only that he could be cured, it could be a retroactive thing so that he was never affected. I don't know. I just kind of like the idea of that.
Rock on.
At least nobody's out here like, you feel like Code of Honor. No, you can go away now.
It's kind of a morbid question. What character would you kill?
You know, you'd think the obvious answer would be a villain, but then you'd be losing out on a great villain. Like Gul Dukat jumped to mind for me, but then he's like my favorite villain possibly in Trek. So no, I wouldn't kill him because I got to watch him rise and fall and kind of rise and fall again.
Eamon Maritza.
Oh, the dude that like pretended to be the Cardassian Gull.
Oh, good one.
Either that or I want. Well, I'm rewatching DS9 right now, so it's the freshest in my brain. But either that or I want to hunt Tosk.
Oh yeah,
Tosk.
I'm Tosk.
Oh no, a villain I absolutely hate. Let's take out Seska. Even if
Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
yeah.
Let's do
Yeah,
a
I think we
little
could do that.
So
bit
let's
quicker.
just kill all the Kazon. I
Yeah,
didn't
let's
like the
pretend the
Kazon as
Kazon never
enemies, so let's just take them out. Genocide.
Kind of wish that meeting of the tribal leaders had been a little more successful.
So on
You
the
pick one
other
of those,
side of
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
I
The,
didn't. I'm really not sure how to answer that question. Who do you unalive?
what was I? Oh, he's a bad guy. There's an episode of TNG. You guys know I don't know the episode names to save me, but there are 3 like psychics who can bring back memories. It's the episode starts. We're doing it with Keiko, and she remembers her grandmother teaching her how to.
Oh,
And then the younger of the 3 messes with Deanna. Yeah, I think he gets off too easy. So I'd like to come in and just stab him in the heart a little.
yeah, that one of many mind rape episodes.
Oh gosh, yes.
Yeah. Nope, he can go.
So what was the second, the newer question?
Who would you bring back?
What do you bring back?
Trip.
What character would you bring back?
Trip.
Yeah, I think I'm with you on that one.
Absolutely.
I think in most people's head canon, he was already brought back.
Yeah.
Especially since
Oh, I
there's
forgot to
the
mention I
books
saw
that
him on the
say-
Black Mountain. He says hi.
All right. I don't think we have any
I'm
more
trying to think
questions
who I would
in
bring
chat.
back.
Well, there's the obvious that hopefully that we're going to get back with a
Yeah.
movie here with
Giorgio.
Giorgio.
I can't think of anyone. Because like 5 years have been Data, but
He's already been brought
Yeah.
back several times.
exactly.
Right? I might throw in a vote for Samantha Wildman. So Naomi can have her
Yeah.
mom.
Okay.
I've been working on writing down my conspiracy theory about how Naomi Wildman becomes the Borg Queen. And I realized, neither of them are at the reunion at the end of the show where they go to a party.
Yep.
Neither of them are there. And they just never are mentioned again. And so I was like, well, I can take the fact that maybe her mother abandoned her to make it easier for her to become under the influence of the Borg. Anyway, sorry.
Well, that's fair.
Tasha, I didn't thank you. No, I didn't even think of her.
I wasn't thinking about Ro Laird,
Unfortunately,
even
how
though I
often
made
I
a
was
big
so,
deal about her
so
on the last.
devastated when Tasha died.
Yeah, that was not a great way. You asked to just be every time somebody goes to Rick Berman and says, "Hey, can I like take a back seat as a character?" It's like, nope, bye permanently.
You're dead. Yeah.
Well, there's a good point, though. I would really like to know what the fuck happened to Prime Universe Lorca.
It was just too good for the Mirror Universe.
I think you're right. Well, do you guys have some questions? While we wait for chat to bring something else around.
If you could only watch one episode on a loop for the rest of your life, which episode would it be?
Oh.
Sort of like the deserted island question.
At least they give you a choice.
That's true.
Either Tapestry or Trouble with Tribbles or Magic to Make the Sanest Man Go Mad.
Ooh.
That's a good one.
I feel like that's going to have its own issues because it's a time loop episode, and then you're watching it repeatedly, which basically putting
Yeah,
yourself in a
right?
time loop.
Watching a show that's a time loop in a time loop. That's fucking meta.
Oh damn! What is it going to be though?
I don't even know the answer to my own damn question.
I'm not sure I could give you a.
I'm gonna
maybe give you a top 5, but
I'm gonna go for the Dell answer, and I am gonna go for the Alan Moraine episode of GS9.
move along.
Wow.
Home. Nice.
Yes,
Okay.
because it would just continually make me laugh. I go to the other
These
side of the
dudes'
island, I
hairstyle
come
make
back,
me
it
laugh.
makes me laugh again.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta cosplay as one of them eventually.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
What
Oh
happened?
no, what happened to Dustin?
We
Oh,
doubled
I'm
up.
still here. My
Are you
My
gonna
camera-
click your sticks
Did you
together?
agree to play the game?
I'm trapped.
Ouch.
I need some help. I need you guys to roll some nat 20s.
Uh,
Oh, I don't have
man.
dice.
here we go. I don't have any
I have dice on
D20s
console.
on hand, but I do have a D10 inside a D10.
Oh, very
Wow.
cool.
What do you do with that?
So
You roll for anything you want.
you can do it for a funny D20, but I do a lot of D10 based games, and so if I need to say like split an attack, I roll one of these so that way I don't have to like take out 2. So let's see. Oh Lord, I got an 8.
Saving throw. Saving throw.
In the game forever.
Which minor or side character would you like to see promoted to full time?
Well, the obvious answer for starters. Although I wouldn't call him a minor or side character. But I want to see Harry Kim come back as like
Yep.
whatever
that.
Star Trek's version of the 5-star general.
Who was it that was saying they wanted to see a scene in Picard where Harry shows up and he's done something to help and somebody's like, "Good work, ensign," because he's just still a freaking ensign. Oh, very good.
You know, if I stopped the character in just
Hello.
TNG, it would have been Miles.
Okay.
it's fair.
Because he was definitely a side character that just never got any development whatsoever.
TNG's side character though. It's just so weird that it's still too waddy there. There he is.
Working on it. Aha.
I got him out of the game.
I had to change batteries, which I should have done before I started the stream. All right. Which follow-up Trek stories, characters, plot lines would you like to see brought back in Lower Decks?
Oh, there was just something about this, wasn't there? Damn it.
I would like to see what race was Silic?
The
Silly?
Suliban.
Suliban. I would
Suliban.
love to see them take on the Suliban. Like the ability to draw shapeshifters like in animation, I think would be really cool, like with their genetic mutations. So
Right.
maybe not even a planet, but like have them be in one of these episodes where they go to a bazaar of some sort and then just see them there, I don't know, training people how to mutate.
Okay.
or for animating. How about the Tholians? Because
Yeah.
they would geek out so hard at being caught in a Tholian web.
Yeah, it's been a minute since we did anything with the Tholians. I always thought, I mean, and this was something Odo just used as a fake thing to get Nog and Jake back together. But when he puts them in a cell together, when they're like not being friends, he says that they'd broken into the Tholian ambassador's quarters.
Right.
But if you broke into a Tholian's quarters, it would be like 1,000 freaking degrees. I don't know why I always think about that when I think about the Tholians, but it's like, well, that didn't work. But yeah, it would be really great to see them again.
I think I just saw you mention that because I've been slowly watching
you
my way
know-
through that 10-hour supercut.
I'm surprised I didn't even watch it after I turned it out. It's like, yep, well, that's probably good.
The other one I would want to bring back in the first planet that Burnham and Book go to deliver dilithium, they were like
butterfly
butterfly men
Yes.
and mothmen. Like, I would be very interested to learn anything about them. Like the whole idea of using satellites so that you can have better prior perception when you're flying, like that just seems really cool to me.
I dig that. Yeah, I was just thinking about these guys the other day. They take everything you say so literally. They have no nuance.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Have him and a Tellarite sit down at a table together. That would be so much fun. Hi, Ganon.
I
What's
think
up, Gannon?
that's a really interesting question, Gannon, because TV has come a long way since like the 90s era of Trek. And obviously we can do episodic storytelling. Strange New Worlds is doing it and doing it fairly well. I definitely wouldn't, if there's more than one show on at a time like now, I definitely would want one still that is like an arc, just maybe done better than what's been done so far in general.
I think Strange New Worlds would be my choice if I can only choose one, because I really like these out-of-the-box genre episodes they're doing, but I would also like to see more of like a through line. We're talking about Ortega. We're talking about, I can't remember her name now. The ops officer that's gotten no plot whatsoever.
Mitchell.
Yes,
Mitchell.
and I think if maybe they had a little bit more episodes, I think it would be a little bit more like I'm thinking like Voyager or TNG, where they had these episodes that were just wacky, but they didn't have to worry about being like, well, now no one knows the plot because we only have 9 more episodes left.
Yeah, I'm more against it right now just for personal reasons, because it means more episodes I'm going to have to do for my ongoing project.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about 20, but it always does feel like these seasons are short. I think they could do for at least what Disco started as like a 13 episode run. As long as you can fill them. That's the other thing. I mean, Picard, both season 2 and 3 didn't seem like it filled its runtime. It was just piling filler in there to turn episodes out. And Disco season 4, kind of the same thing. So as long as you have a good enough story that you can plug through it, or you have enough good diverse stories, but at the same time, we're almost at 900 episodes of Trek or somewhere thereabout with all the animated stuff and everything. So a lot of things have already been done, and I'm not saying you can't do them again.
Right.
So a lot of times, some of the best Trek is playing off older Trek, and you do it better. But yeah, I think setting a limit is kind of good, and especially where we've got so much Trek, I'd rather have like, well, all right, well, if this particular series bombed their season, well, we've got another 10 or 13 episodes to try again and reset.
Right.
What actually happened to the Iconians? I mean, that's a great question. They were the
So,
masters of air and darkness, so one would think that they would have survived longer as a species in the on the galactic stage than they did, but
They went through the portal to another planet and build a new portal and try to get back to their old portal, but they create such a paradox that they just bleeped out of existence. That's my answer.
oh, like Scott Bakula at the end of the original Quantum Leap. Just,
Yeah.
well, that never got home. Whatever.
I mean, that was really. It's like I said when I summed that one up, he immediately, when he realizes he's the one that's leaping himself around, he immediately went and put himself into a paradox. And I'm just like, what the hell, man? Of course you didn't go home. You sabotaged who knows what by messing with Al's future.
Did you ever see the YouTuber Alison Pregler's video about a year ago, where she like summed some stuff up and she showed this like really obscure footage. She had bought some real cut frames, and there was definitely an ending shot that they never utilized or never made deleted scenes or anything, where like Al and Beth are trying to find Al. They're like making a plan to get him back, get Scott Bakula's character back. Yeah, it's really obscure, but when you see that these were real frames and real shots taken, like they clearly had something that they were thinking, and then they were just like, no, we'll just go with the easy answer and not even get his name right in that closing. Anyway, we are so far off the beaten path here.
Whatever.
What else we got here? Which Star Trek character or group would you not want to ever see again? Oh, well, we've already talked about
Borg.
the Wadi.
The
Really?
Borg. I want them to be done.
Really?
Yeah, like I think because they've gone from being absolutely terrifying to like, hey, let's get ourselves assimilated. We'll figure out how to get out of it. Like, just something else. I'll take a stupid villain over the Borg again.
That's fair, but what about
Okay.
this new version that'll apparently only assimilate you if you want to be?
Yeah.
The ones that were created
Okay.
and just kind of
That one can go. I don't know what they were thinking here in Picard season 3, reintroducing the collapsed, all fucked up Borg.
right.
I would love an episode about them, just so that we can see what happens, like what happened in this experiment.
I definitely would like to see the Borg again, but I'd like to see them as either a rebuilding thing or through Girardi as like building them back up the right way, whatever that looks like. We're probably going to talk about this whenever we actually get to our Mirror Universe chat, but the Borg in the Mirror Universe, I want to know more about Mirror Borg. Are they like exactly the same because truly they're a neutral thing that just exist? Or would they be the good guys of the Mirror Universe?
They would be communists. If you
Well, they
think
already
about it,
kind
I'm
of
not
are.
wrong.
Well, no, it's all collective, so yeah.
So this would be more like either they would have like a board that gets elected every 6 months, but that board runs the communism, or it would just, you can go a different way, and they're hippies who live on a commune. Like
That wouldn't be
really
surprising.
Mirror Universe. If I was to take like a villain and put them in the universe, that's what I think what would happen. Now I want to write about that.
I think we've gone through all the chat questions so far.
No Borg originating.
Yeah, I actually want more Borg just different Borg than what we got in season 4 of Picard, or season 3 of Picard. That was weird. Really
If
weird.
they're gonna bring the Borg back, I would like to see the world from the Borg perspective. Like I want to hear the drones communicating. I want to see why they go where they go, and because they don't just they don't do what the DMA did, where it's like over here and it's doing some stuff, and then it shows up. Like there's no path. They go over here and assimilate people, and then they go over there and assimilate people. And I'm like, how did they choose where they're gonna go? And is there like a qualification for being assimilated? Like, do you have to have a certain IQ level, or have a talent? Sort of like if you wanted to move to Canada. I don't know. Canada is now the filter for Borg. Hi, Eve.
All right, where's Eve when you need her?
Right.
Yeah, I don't really know how to answer that question, because under the right circumstances, I want to see all the races and characters back and just touch on them and no. But like on the other side of that question, which character or group do you want to see back? I want to know more about the Shellyak. That they have a pretty big empire from what we know, but we've only heard about them in one freaking episode. I want to know more about them.
I want more changelings. Like, I was so disappointed in Picard season 3 because I thought we were going to get like actual changeling plot, and it was more like the same kind of changeling plot. But I want to know what happened. Like, they can't just stay in the Great Link forever. They're going to have to, create bodies and go to other planets and have negotiations and diplomacy, and I want to see how it was changed by Odo's experiences.
Right. Kind of want to see what happened to Bashir's fellow augments.
Oh yeah, the ones that were that kept brought from the Institute.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Or even just specifically, what's her name? The one that he ends up curing there at the end. Yeah, I want to say Samantha, but it's not.
No.
I know who you're talking about, but I can't think of her name.
Serena.
Yeah.
You're right, Serena. Scott gets 5 points.
Circle gets the square.
Yes. Oh, we should do Star Trek Tic-Tac-Toe.
Oh, we
Anyway.
could. Some days we do have enough people that we could totally.
Yeah,
right? We could do that. That'd be fun. Maybe
And Dustin can be in the middle square.
That is a good question. We should put that up.
This one.
Yes, apparently this one. Would you want more of the temporal Cold War?
Yes.
It was ended kind of out of nowhere.
A lot of people don't. I didn't realize how many people really hated the temporal Cold War until, I started doing this YouTube channel and people comment all the time. It's like, what was wrong with it? I mean, did they do enough meat and potatoes in the middle of it? No, it could have had more and deeper bits, but I did really like the premise.
I would love to have seen sort of the butterfly effect, like in the future, because we went back to World War II and everything is very different. So I would love to see sort of when we follow that timeline, like what happens and then how it changes the present as we know it.
That's fair. I mean, I can almost see the premise getting a little muddled with people, get people keep changing time and changing time and changing time. And it's like, okay, what was the real timeline? Like, do we even know what originally happened anymore? Or has it all just been changed so much you can't make sense of anything?
I mean, one could ask that about Star Trek in general, because every time the timeline has changed, you could
Right.
argue that there's. And what did I just hear? One of the episodes I was just watching recently, I found out that like there was a book that took off on the alternate timeline. It's like, oh, from Tapestry, where Picard is the like Lieutenant Junior grade. There's
Oh,
a whole
neat.
book about him and Captain Hathaway that they talk about in there, and how he actually like that event. It's like that Picard still did have the events of Tapestry happen to him. So he has this realization, and then he starts in his like, kind of twilight years becoming more than what he was, and ends up being like the first officer under Hathaway. Like that sounds like a cool premise. I want to read
Yeah.
that book. As entertaining as Strange
Pretty
New
cool.
Worlds is, does anyone think they disregard canon too much? Yes and no.
I would agree
And
about
that's
the Gorn.
I can say that about most of Star Trek. Like yes and no. Sometimes bending canon is a really good thing, if it makes a good story. At least with the whole things with Kirk, how he just keeps freaking coming back, even though he was supposed to have only met Pike once.
Right.
I don't know why we did what we did there for any reason other than like fan service. So
I know it
sometimes
was
yes, with the
technically
Gorn it's a
different-
good thing.
Yeah,
Sorry, Belle.
I
Go
know
ahead.
it was technically a different
Mhm.
timeline, but meeting the child Khan by his granddaughter, whatever relation she is. Now, you guys know that was my least favorite episode of Strange New Worlds ever, but that moment where they're like the Romulan is like, I'm just waiting for the time I'm supposed to kill him, but everything's off time now. That basically their plaster for when did the eugenics war actually happen. But yeah, I mean, that was probably the biggest break, even though it was a different timeline. Like that hurt my head. He's such a
That makes
central figure to the universe that like you want to mess with like a side character, whatever, fine. But he's such a, I don't know how to put it, but like a main villain throughout the entire series that you don't want to fuck with his where he came from, his origins.
Here's a question that I bring up in the video that I'll have out here in a week or so, where I've ranked all of the movies. If Khan hadn't been the villain in a movie, if he'd just been that one and done from TOS Space Seed, would he be the all-knowing, like omnipresent villain that people think about as much today?
When you say
Because-
people, do you mean characters
Trek
in the Star
fans.
Trek universe or like fans?
No, us as Trek fans.
Okay.
Do you think anybody would really think
Oh.
about Khan today at all? Because I don't think I would. I mean, he wasn't bad in that, but also it was another episode of TOS. Okay.
Yeah, it's very true.
The only reason I would argue against that is Brent Spiner's many relation to Data. He frees a bunch of augments.
Yep.
And there's
That was,
one that's basically a Khan.
He
Like
didn't-
he's standing in for Khan, basically.
Uh-uh.
There's like one who always wants to be in
Eric
charge,
Stone,
and
that's
if that didn't exist, then maybe. But when that came up, I immediately thought of Khan. I immediately thought about like how long this has been going on, and like yeah. So they brought it all back. So maybe if they didn't do that episode, I probably wouldn't even know who Khan was.
and maybe if they didn't throw in a semi-clumsy, tie-in to the Klingons, like, oh, they used augment DNA. That's why they don't have forehead ridges.
Yeah, how do you guys feel about that whole thing with the explanation of Klingons? Because I kind of liked it. It was dragged out too much as a plot, but I was like, okay, well, that's pretty cool. I just wish they'd stuck with it.
I think the only detail about it that really got to me was why are they not showing it as something that Klingons would opt in? Like getting plastic surgery. Oh, I just had my bump smoothed out. You know, like maybe they invented it on accident, but that's fucking like it's getting Botox. Like, so I saw it, I kept seeing it, I wanted to see it represented as like you can go to the hair salon and also, you know, lessen those forehead ridges.
Yeah, I don't know, Norman. It's a really big tie for me between Ducat and Khan. I don't know.
I would let Ducat edge it just a bit. I mean, he did have much longer and much more of an arc, but yeah.
Ducat's a lot more nuanced. Although I don't know, actually, I guess Khan really is too, because he doesn't see, he's the same kind of person. He doesn't see himself as a bad guy. He's just the natural evolution of humanity, and I'm better than you.
It wasn't natural, but yeah.
I can't remember her name. Oh god.
But yeah, then there's
the main character, the main villain in the beginning of season 3 of Picard, who the ship was called the Shrike. I can't remember her name.
Yeah,
the changeling. Yeah, what was her name?
we've already
I'm
forgotten.
only getting
Yeah, but-
I'm only getting the actress name. Damn it.
And my
Somebody else.
question was going to be my point was going to be if they could develop that.
Well, if they developed it better, I'd be
Yeah.
interested,
Yeah.
because I was interested in her, but then when we got to the whole like the Borg Queen's the ultimate villain thing, it's
Attic.
like
Thank
whatever.
you.
I've
Yes, Vatic.
I've already lost interest.
Right. I kept trying to think of it, and all I could think was fucking solids.
Oh, there she is.
And yes, Wind Grace, I would love a Khan musical. Like, I think that would be hilarious. If they can put on real Klingon operas, then they've got to be able to come up with a Khan musical. I mean, heck, if they can, all the movie musicals they're making, could you imagine a musical version of The Wrath of Khan?
I think that would be if you were going to take an existing Trek story, I think that would be the most musical thing you could go off. I mean, it's all very Shakespearean.
So I feel like that would be like high musical theater, like if you think about things like Les Mis. But if you want to talk low musical theater, like there's some real interesting picks, you know, for I would say Star Trek 4 would fit in as a great like low level movie adaptation musical.
Yeah. The Wrath of Khan. Featuring such classic songs as From Hell's Heart I Stab at Thee.
Oh, here we go.
This is City Alpha 5!
If we're going to do a musical, it's got to be Cat's Paw, the musical.
Oh my gosh.
And the whole first act, we just meander through a fog machine, no lines.
If we all
Survives to a second act.
and in the same place at the same time at once, we need to rent a fog machine and have like our own little away mission.
I bet we could do a better version of Cat's Paw with one day of shooting and no script than they did. Just give me a fog machine and some cardboard weapons and
And a table with a
and a
candle.
wizard robe.
Just tiny little puppets.
We are good to go. Yeah, we are out of regular questions, so
Justice
Yeah.
the musical.
chat, get them in there, or you guys, whatever
Justice
you want to
the
talk
musical. I like that.
Wesley, music stink. We said keep it off the grass, music stink. We meant it.
I guess. Sure, why not?
Okay.
I'm gonna admit something super geeky.
Oh gosh.
When
I'm
I
waiting with the
when I did my very first watch through of DS9, I was so inspired that I wrote a full LARP of Ferengi.
Okay.
Well, like 98% Ferengi characters, but it was based on the madness of crowds, like the tulip madness, where like
Yeah.
someone just decided it was awesome. And so
NFTs. Yeah.
So I wrote a LARP where it was basically those two concepts meeting. I never ran it though because I don't know that many Ferengi fans.
Mhm.
Yes.
You got that, Gannon.
Yes, Park has the
Yeah,
riz.
Wingrace has another question. How many previously unknown Spock siblings are hiding out there? I'd like to think that we've found them all, but that Sarek, he's a tricky bastard with his literally a tricky bastard with his fathering of the children or
With this trick
whatever.
stick.
He likes those infinite combinations.
I would love to see a hybrid Sarek's child that isn't half human.
Okay.
Like
Well, I
maybe
mean,
like half-
Cybok wasn't. He was full
That's
Vulcan.
true. I forgot about
Yeah.
Cybok. Didn't they
Oh, how do
hint
you feel
him?
about
Didn't they hint about him in Strange New Worlds last
They
season?
sure did. I was just gonna I was gonna
Yeah.
follow that up with
got him in the first season and then never talked about him again?
yeah.
Everybody
do you
wants-
guys think that we should bring him back or just leave that as a segue into the Final Frontier?
I didn't
Because yeah,
think
I
his
think he's got to
character-
come back, and I think he's got to be played by Ethan Peck, just with some different makeup. I think that's why we didn't see his face in the first one, because it's
Yeah.
gonna be Ethan Peck.
Oh. I'd be watching that like, wow, they kind of went full Operation Annihilate here, didn't they?
Oh, that's a really good point. Take on some space boogers while we're at it.
No, thank you.
Yeah, well, yeah, we didn't even. I touched on it in the intro that like supposedly there are 4 active movies right now. The only one that we know is 100% active, and we should see, barring a Catwoman. We spent $1 billion, and we're just gonna put this one in an early grave anyway. Is the Section 31 one that's filming right now? There's almost no chance we don't get that. Great, but the other ones that have been hinted at now are that the Kelvin timeline number 4 is not actually dead. It's still in active development, whatever that means. That Patrick Stewart had teased that there was a script written for him, but if you go back and look at that interview, people are, I think, misreading it, and there is a script for him, and it's not necessarily Star Trek.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that makes more sense.
So there was 3. I can't remember what the 4th one was, but there's a 4th one that's supposedly also still in active development.
I would go see a
The
Lower
pre-
Decks movie.
Oh God, yes.
I would
Yes,
go see a Lower
please.
Decks movie.
Right now.
But then the question is, if it's its first movie, is it like Crisis Point 3? Or is it something completely different?
Oh, Dustin, you just
They
said
should
something
do
that
that.
warms my heart.
They should do
More
that
time
just so people. Sorry.
No, I'm
But
done.
no, they should do that so that like people who don't really like Star Trek come in and see the movie and they're like, Crisis Point 3, what did I miss? How's
Yeah, I
that
guess
how's that the third movie?
I guess it'd be like the first Star Wars, though. The way I understand it, the original scroll didn't say Episode 4 on it. They added that in like the
That's very
80s.
true.
But yeah, I'm with Norman. It should begin at Crisis Point 3.
You're not in Trekkie,
I-
friends. Why does this start with Crisis Point 3? I don't have time to explain it, okay?
But as far as the next Trek film, I mean, I made a video about this a year ago, and I don't really care what premise you take. I want a like Rogue One from the Star Wars universe movie. I want something where you take off a known thread, but it doesn't have to be all the characters you know and love. It could just be one or
Right.
none, and you just explain a little story that's been, teased in the canon, and you expand upon that. We don't need another rehash of Kirk and the Enterprise crew. We don't need a rehash of the TNG crew. Tell us a new fucking story. Why is this
So-
difficult?
I know that
Hmm,
he
you
said
do.
he would never do it, but I think if Cisco came back, that could be a movie.
It
Oh,
could,
God.
but again, that's
Yeah, he's sworn off doing the character.
I don't think he's ever. Well, he's basically sworn off doing anything. He hasn't
Yeah.
acted in over 20 years now.
Yeah, that's true.
Wow.
Yeah, I like that too, Norman.
Okay.
I don't know that makes a good movie, but that would make a nice short or something. And that's another thing that we should bring back. I loved the Trek shorts. They explained little pieces, little holes in the narrative. That could have
Mhm.
greatly helped Picard season 3, where there were these huge logical gaps, and even Terry Matalas had to take to Twitter to be like, "Oh, well, no, it's because of this." Well, then you didn't effectively tell your story.
Right. Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah, but no more
Like
very short
treks.
treks. I mean, that
Very
was
short.
okay. You tried a thing. Some of it was funny. Most of it was just did not work. But yeah. All right, we got about 10 minutes before we're wrapping up one way or another, because I'm gonna go watch some football.
To put this in a PG phrasing, if you had to marry a Star Trek character, even if it was a short marriage,
Oh, are we playing FMK?
I'm sorry?
So are we playing FMK?
Yeah,
Marry, date, or beam into space.
there we go.
Oh, even better.
I'm gonna marry Admiral Vance.
Nice.
Nice.
I like that.
I'm gonna
I
beam
love
Michael Burnham into space. At least seasons 1 and 2 Burnham. I kind of like her towards the end, but
I would marry Troy. Fuck Riker.
okay, that's fair.
I would spend an evening with Tasha.
Oh, there you go. I feel you there.
Although I couldn't live up to
Pretty bad, are you
Data.
dead? Then she'd be dead.
Probably not. I mean, he's trained in multiple techniques. Whatever
fully
that
functional.
means.
So am I. Now I'm trying to figure out who I would yeet.
Yeah, I said I'd marry Vance. I would date Jadzia and beam Burnham into
Jadzia.
space.
Me too, but I don't think my maturity level would keep it up. So, be a brief relationship. I'm just saying, she's got the experience of how many fucking hosts at that point? 6?
Yeah.
6 or 7. And I think it's 7. If you include Duran, I think it's 7.
Yeah, you gotta
8 if you
Duran.
include the one that gets the fucking Bryce Cummings there.
Love that.
I don't know.
Specifically,
came up with
Norman,
the
if
first
I'm
two.
going to marry a version of Bashir, it's going to be the one from our man Bashir, the 007 Bashir.
I would yeet Melora just because I hate that episode. I hate everything she
Oh,
stands
okay.
for. Get her
All right.
out the airlock tomorrow. Yesterday.
I don't think the character was as bad as the writing, but you are definitely in the position more than anybody to say.
Yeah,
fucking
about to say, like,
beam it in
this
space.
is a wheelchair. I know what I speak of.
Ugh.
I can see that. All right, for as bad as that movie was, Gannon, I can fucking get behind that
Okay.
one. Fair.
Sure.
I think she's more on the date list, especially since you know what she does to Kirk. She like pushes him away when he's trying to be a dad, keeps him from hooking up with Lon, even though she's still gonna be like, whatever.
Right. What is that?
Yeah, definitely Norman.
It's like, who's I gonna?
I think if they
Oh,
had
yeah.
more disabled characters on the show in general, especially ones that use mobility aids, like people who have obvious disabilities, then the Melora episode wouldn't upset me so much. But it was
Right.
like the first and really only time we see someone in a wheelchair.
That's fair.
And it's all about curing her, which
Yeah, as far as beaming into space, a whole bunch of Badmirals went through my mind, and I settled on Leighton. Throw the entire damn planet into a tailspin like that.
That's fair, mostly.
Mhm. Look, I get he's reacting out of fear, but when you're reacting out of fear and you have that much power, that can be a bad thing.
Though if we're gonna yeet bad admirals, I mean, at least he did the wrong thing for the right reason. I think RoboCop
fair.
Admiral from the Kelvin timeline, probably him, or maybe Cartwright from the Undiscovered Country, because
He was my first
they're
choice.
just kind of doing it to do it.
He was my first choice, though, mainly because just sort of like, get out of here and go back to being Cisco's dad. You did that much better.
Which one? What are we doing with Helen Noel? Are you marrying, dating, or beaming them
dating.
into space?
Hope not beaming into space. She saved Kirk.
Which episode is loud as a whisper? I'm the person who doesn't know any titles. I just know what happens.
Loud as a whisper. That's
Is that the one where the deaf guy had a chorus?
the TNG episode.
Yeah.
No. Oh, yeah.
Norman was mentioning
maybe.
it as an episode on disabilities. Yes,
I
that's
think
what.
it
Yes,
is.
I was
Oh,
right.
of course. First time I watched that, I'm just like, the scene where Data is like learning the sign language and he keeps increasing the speed and he keeps going and going. When it suddenly stopped, I had this vision of Data's head just exploding under the stress and laughed out loud.
It's not
Yeah,
an
that
easy
was a-
language to learn. The grammar and the vocabulary actually come from the French. So you have to organize your sentences in a very different order. And not every, but like there's no sign for living room, but there's a sign for parlor. There's a sign for like, that's the sort of thing. Like any Americanisms, they either have to develop a new sign for, or you have to put it in French grammar, which I find really interesting.
All right, just a few minutes to
Yeah.
go. Any final thoughts today on anything, since there is no specific topic here?
This was fun.
Mhm.
Good, I'm glad. We're just sitting here having a chat. Not. Oh, that's a really good choice. I like that one.
Oh,
Aw.
And actually,
Yeah.
I might change my Mary to Tilly. Now that I'm thinking
Yeah.
about disco characters.
Oh.
Tilly, yeah.
Yeah,
I would be into Mirror Universe Tilly.
that too.
Hmm.
Love that.
She can
outfit.
torture me anytime.
Oh man, if we're gonna do Mirror Universe characters though,
Oh yeah, Mary Nader Dump Universe Mirror Universe edition. We can save that for next week too, or whenever we actually get to the Mirror Universe.
Yeah, I at least partially did my homework on that. I watched all of the DS9 Mirror episodes.
I rewatched them all, and I definitely enjoy it. It's a cool premise. I'm glad that they expanded on it from TOS.
Uh-huh.
For sure. All right. Well, let's get out of here. Let's go watch some football. Actually, final thought. Who's going to win today? Ravens versus
49ers.
Ravens versus Chiefs, and then 49ers versus Lions. Who's going to win?
I have to root for the Ravens because I used to live like right next to Baltimore.
That's fair. That's
And their team color is purple.
I've enjoyed the Niners this season, but I'm kind of rooting for the Lions secretly. So in that one, so I'm looking for a Lions Ravens Super Bowl. But
I'd probably go exactly the opposite way for it. It was just really satisfying watching the Chiefs take down the Eagles last year. The way they came from behind was so awesome.
Yep. All right. Well, let's go do some football or whatever else it is that we do on a Sunday. And until next time, everybody, thanks for joining. Live long and